and welcome to another episode of the INDY Sports Show. I'm Smith Omso, a senior journalist at Independent Media. Today's discussion has quite a few things, actually. Not only we discuss what happened over the weekend in terms of the Betway Premiership, but we also have quite a few CAF fixtures coming up. 3 of our teams obviously representing us throughout the continent. So yeah, it's going to get interesting. Let's get into it. So huge results when it comes to the title race over the weekend. Pirates beating Polokwane City, keeping the momentum going, obviously, which is going to be very vital in the final stage of the season. But they also trimmed down the gap between themselves and Mamelodi Sundowns to just 9 points, which was very important, more especially with what's going to happen with the Roy AM situation. A lot of Pirates fans are hoping that Sundowns do get docked points, which would essentially trim that gap down to 6 points. Down to 6 points, but that would also mean that Pirates also lose a game from one of their games in hand. So, and if Pirates have just one game remaining, the one that they didn't get to start against Arrows, and if they win that, the gap could potentially be as low as 3 points, which is probably going to be the most competitive title race that Sundowns have had or have been involved in the past 4 years, maybe. And the last time the title race was that close, I think it was when they battled Chiefs for it in the 2019-2020 season. So yeah, intriguing last sector of the season. We expect Pirates obviously to have a say and want to have a say, and probably will also want to give Coach Jose Rivera a good send-off after his announcement that he's going to leave the club at the end of the season. So yeah, it's going to be an emotional end to Orlando Pirates season, and it's just going to be a question of whether those emotions are going to affect them in a positive or in a negative way, because those sort of situations have had huge impacts on how teams move forward. We saw it with Liverpool last season when their coach Jurgen Klopp announced in January that he would be leaving at the end of the season. Many people thought that it would probably help them sort of play an emotional game and fight to hand him everything that he deserves in terms of trophies. But yeah, it turned out to be a bust. Didn't work out that way. They ran out of legs. The emotional baggage that sort of decision carries sometimes has negative implications. So we're yet to see whether that will happen for Orlando Pirates. But yeah, it's going to be certainly an intriguing final part of the season. But yeah, the Pirates are nowhere out of it. At this point, who still remains in control? Obviously Sundowns, because if both teams win all of their games, Sundowns would win the league, and you sort of back Sundowns again to have the necessary experience to be able to deal with those pressure situations if it does become a pressure situation where the gap is just 3 points. So yeah, we expect a very competitive title race, which is also always perfect for the neutral. So yeah, let's see what happens moving forward. So while we're on the subject of Mamelodi Sundowns and titles, obviously they have another opportunity to win another title. They're in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, the second leg of their clash with Esperance, taking place on Tuesday at 9, I think. Yeah, Tuesday at 9, Esperance second leg. Obviously, we all saw the unfortunate and dramatic scenes of the first leg after their results against Esperance. On the field, it seems as if Mamelodi Sundowns have a hold on the fixture. It seems as if they have 1 foot in the semi-final. If you saw generally how play went in that first leg. Sundowns dominated the game from start to finish. Esperance, I think, had only one shot at goal. Um, Sundowns managed to limit them to literally no chances, and they created quite a few of their own and did not look troubled, did not look stressed, except for those few fiery moments which you always expect with North African teams. So yeah, how do the off-field incidents play any role in what's going to happen tomorrow? I think if you're Mamelodi Sundowns, you have a lot of internationals in your team. You have a lot of um, players with Champions League experience. You also have a coach who knows that area very well, who's coached in Tunisia, obviously. So I think if you're Mamelodi Sundowns, you're more than well equipped to be able to handle whatever it is that happens on the day. Of course, provided it stays on the field, provided everything that they're gonna have to battle for is within those four lines. I think the Tunisian fans obviously will have, yeah, quite a few to say. They will try to put Sundowns off their game as much as they can, which you would expect anyway, even without those unfortunate incidents from last week. But still, you expect Sundowns to be able to go to Tunisia and get a result. But yeah, I think it's the first second well it's the first knockout game or knockout fixture that they've had to play the second leg away in like 3 years, so maybe that sort of change in structure is also going to work in Sundowns' favor, because we've seen them eliminated at home, I think, the past 2 seasons when it comes to the Champions League. Yeah, so coach Miguel Cardozo with a huge role to play to try and guide Mamelodi Sundowns to yet another Champions League semi-final, try to guide them to their second ever CAF Champions League title. So yeah, Mamelodi Sundowns fans, I think if you've watched Sundowns over the past 12 years, you know what Sundowns has, you know what Sundowns does. If Sundowns plays to their full potential, Sundowns are untouchable on the continent. So I think Masandawana have a very good reason to head into that fixture very confident, and yeah, sort of expect their team to get the job done. So yeah, let's see what the Yellow Nation does in Tunisia. Yeah, Orlando Pirates are also seemingly just have one foot in the semifinals of their CAF journey. Obviously, getting that away result in Algeria, Ngota coming up with the decisive goal on the day, giving them that away goal, ensuring that they also remain unbeaten this season in the Champions League. I think it's fair to say Pirates have sort of surpassed what anyone could have thought that they could do in the Champions League this season, more especially after being bundled out in the preliminary rounds last season. So yeah, huge fixture for them. Second leg at Orlando on Wednesday. I think they play at 6. With that one goal advantage, obviously, the away goal. I think with the current momentum, with the current confidence that's oozing from that Pirates side, a lot of people would expect Pirates to get the job done. I mean, not in the same way that they did in Algeria, because they literally robbed Alger on the day, put in a backs to the wall performance where they just purely defended for 90 minutes. Obviously broke on the counter, but yeah, spirited showing, a defensively sound performance. Sipo Chaine, I think, was the player of the match as well. They needed him to be on the day because yeah, the opposition just didn't stop. So yeah, I think a huge part of Pirates' success in the Champions League this season has, yes, it's been down to a huge effort by the players, but also it's been centered around the genius of Coach Jose Rivero. I mean, we know what Coach Jose Rivero likes to do, how he likes to set up his teams, what he likes to see in in his teams. But when it comes to the Champions League and when it comes to those away fixtures, more especially, we've seen a different side to him. We've seen a different side to Pirates. They've been to Cairo against Al Ahly, they won. They've been to Algeria twice. They beat CRB and then they beat MC Alger. So the common thread in these three fixtures is their willingness to forfeit the ball, but not just forfeit the ball, but try to control the game out of possession, because that's what it's called. So I think we know Pirates like to dominate possession. We know Pirates like to create chances. They like to be patient, but the Champions League, more especially on the African continent, requires more than just a flashy style of play. It requires more than just a passing game. We've seen it be to the detriment of Mamelodi Sundowns in recent seasons as well. They play the best football, but they're just not able to win that trophy. So it needs more than that. And I think that's what Pirates have also picked up from Mamelodi Sundowns' failures. The fact that it doesn't always need to be the most beautiful game for you to win a Champions League game. And they've taken that on and they've executed it. And also, I think Coach Jose Rivera deserves huge plaudits for that, because a lot of styles and a lot of philosophies in football these days are centered around belief and just a little bit of ego for you to say, no, this will work if you do it the right way, if you're patient, if you execute at the right time. But it's centered around coaches who have huge egos, and for him to say, I know what we like to do, I know what I like to watch, but this game demands this and this is what we're going to do, has been huge for him. So yeah, it's going to be, I think it's going to be a very, very not easy game for Pirates, but you would expect that after that result in the first leg, they would have more than enough to be able to get the job done in the second leg as well. So Stellenbosch also have a North African assignment. They'll have to get, yeah, a big result in Egypt against the defending champions of the CAF Confederation Cup, Zamalek. Obviously, the first leg was sort of a dull affair. Both teams sort of cancelled each other out. There wasn't much to separate the two teams in the end, and maybe the goalless draw was the fair result. But I think that only increases the difficulty of the fixture for Staleys, who now have to go to Egypt in order to get a result on the day. Obviously, Staleys have already tasted a bit of what North Africa has to offer, having played RS Berkane in the group stages, losing that game 5-0. At this stage, in terms of the overall scheme of things, I think RS Berkane are just a level above Zamalek, obviously, but you would still expect that it would be, yeah, if Staleys are able to pull that off, it would be probably one of their biggest wins since the club's inception. But I think Staleys have shown a knack for just performing at the right time in terms of cup competitions. Having qualified through the group stages, I think you wouldn't put it past them to be able to spring a surprise on Zamalek, even in Egypt. And I think stylistically as well, Staleys are more, they are suited to that type of game where not many people expect them to win. They're expected to have a low block, where they're expected to defend for huge periods of the game, which they are able to do even despite losing some of the key players over the years. But I think Staleys are more dangerous when they're on defense, just purely because of their speed that they possess, to spring out and counterattack any team on the continent. So I think when they don't have the incentive on them to be able to push and press, uh, they're gonna have to play a very different game. But I think they won't find themselves, or they won't feel as if they're gonna be foreign in that game. So you would expect the likes of Devin Titus, who I think has been their best player this season. You would expect Ashley Cupido with the pace. You would expect Sanele Barnes with the pace as well. The young Langelihle Pili will have a say in that game as well. So I think, in as much as it feels as if it's probably the most difficult game of the season, but Staleys have been able to tussle with the likes of Mamelodi Sundowns on a regular basis and beat them even in cup competitions. So you wouldn't put it past them to be able to um, get a huge away result and book a semi-final spot in the CAF Confederation Cup.